Phase 5 is upon us, and it's time to level up your raid game. Are you ready to dominate Blackwing Lair with the best buffs, the best consumes? Stay tuned to discover the must-have items that'll give you a huge edge. From powerful Zanza buffs to game-changing enchants, we've got it all covered. First, we've got to talk world buffs. Of course, we've got the Dark Moon Fair, the Dire Maul Tribute, Songflower Serenade, the Onyxia buff, the Rend buff. Most importantly, though, is the Spirit of Zandalar buff. We're talking 15% stats and 10% move speed for 2 hours. Your optimal route is going to ideally start with Dark Moon Fair first. This is the hardest and most frustrating buff to get by far. Then I would specifically go to the Zanza Isle. And the reason for that is that we're also going to want to pick up some brand new potions as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. After getting the Spirit of Zandalar buff, I'd either Dire Maul summon to get your DMT buff, or you just fly to Booty Bay and you take the Feralis teleporter. At this point, I'm waiting in Orgrimmar. I'm going to get my Ani buff, my Rend buff, and of course I'm booning after every step. Then I like to get Songflower, and ideally you have a Mage ready to go with a portal the second you pick the flower. So we've got to talk those Zanza potions, 3 new potions that really change the game. First, we've got Spirit of Zanza, 50 Spirit, 50 Stamina. Second, the Sheen of Zanza, 1 spell reflect, and then 3% chance to reflect all future spells. Finally, we've got Swiftness of Zanza with 20% extra movement speed. The first thing you need to know is that you can actually have 2 of these. You can use one and then have one in your inventory in case you die. As for when to use each buff, always get a Sheen of Zanza and pop it immediately. That's because the initial spell reflect will always persist even if you override it with the other buffs. Then grab the Swiftness of Zanza. This is used by every single spec, every single class. The extra movement speed is invaluable in speed runs and parse runs in every type of raid. We've also got to talk new enchants and new oils as well. There are new best-in-slot leg and head enchants, and these require a Primal Hikari idol from Jindo the Hexer and Broodlord Mandakir. The idols are going to be highly contested, even hard reserved in a lot of runs. The reason why that is that the ZG leg and head enchants are now spec-specific. There are so many better versions. For example, the Animus Fury now exists, which is amazing for Feral Druids. The other reason is that the fire resistance requirements of BWL are going to be a lot lower than Molten Core. That means you can finally stop running fire resistance on your leg and head enchants, and you can really start to do way more damage. We've also got new weapon oils. There's the Brilliant Wizard Oil with 36 spell power, 1% crit, and there's the Brilliant Mana Oil with 25 healing, 12 MP5. To get their recipes, you have to be honored with the Zandalar tribe. Then to actually make the weapon oils themselves, you have to get items like Fire Bloom and Large Brilliant Shards. It's really important you do the Collection of Heads quest as soon as you can. Then you're eligible for the Bijou of Zanza quest, so you can start really maxing out your reputation. We're likely also going to do some ZG trash farming the first couple days. That way we can really max out our rep as soon as possible. Now let's talk essential consumables, starting with essential caster consumes. Now the list for casters is significantly different than it was in Phase 4. We've now got the Brilliant Wizard Oil. It's a new upgrade with additional spell power and crit. We've also got Greater Arcane Elixir, just another way to increase your spell power. More importantly though, we've got the new Mage Blood Potion, 12 MP5, significant upgrade. Then if you do fire damage, we've got the Elixir of Greater Firepower. Or if you're like me and you play a Shadow Priest, we've got the Elixir of Shadow Power. As for your food, you really have 2 specific options. You have either Nightfen Soup or you have the Runtun Tuber Surprise. Now the Runtun Tuber Surprise is preferred by almost all casters because it gives significantly more intellect, and you don't really need the extra mana regen. Talking mana regen though, you really have significantly more options than ever before. We've got major mana potions, we've got dark runes, we've got demonic runes. We've even got the mildly irradiated rejuvenation potion, which gives extra mana and spell power as well. Then depending on which kind of caster you are, we have the cerebral cortex compound or the gizzard gum. Now optimal consumable usage for a caster in this raid. There are going to be so many BWL deaths in progression. Just use the expensive versions of potions when you're close to actually killing the boss. Do not be like me, chugging dark runes, chugging major mana potions on kills that are never going to happen. Also, one other tip on actually getting all these consumes. Definitely make sure you have an alchemist in your guild making these potions, making these consumes. Do not buy the wizard oils, for example, on the auction house. You will waste so much money. Now is the time to talk physical damage consumes. We've got Elemental Sharpening Stone to increase your critical strike chance. There's Elixir of the Mongoose, increasing your agility by 25, giving that 2% crit. We've also got the Roids buff or the Ground Scorpok Assay. Then we have the Juju Power and the Juju Might. These come from the Winterfall Echoes and the Frostmaw Echoes. We've also got the Dragon Breath Chili for additional AoE damage. Then for your food, we've either got the grilled squid or the blessed sunfruit if you're a strength guy. Now, as a physical damage dealer, your real key to maximize damage output, first, it is conserving your world buffs. It's not about your consumes. Every single fight, like Veil, like Firemaw, are huge risks for you to lose your world buffs. I would highly recommend keeping those buffs booned until you're really sure you're going to get a kill. Also, do not use the Juju Might, do not use the Juju Power until you're sure a kill is going to come. You're going to be wasting so much money when you could just be using the Elixir of Giants and the Winterfall Firewater instead. Also, don't forget the grilled squid is going to be way cheaper in Phase 5. As of September 23rd all the way to March 19th, the grilled squid is now fishable again. It is going to be dirt cheap. With grilled squid finally completely irrelevant, I would love to hear from you in the comments on which consume you stockpiled the most for Phase 5. First though, let's talk defensive consumes, the exact consumes you need on every class so you don't hit the floor. Most of these are self-explanatory: the Elixir of Superior Defense, the Juju Ember for fire resistance, the Greater Protection Potions, the Nature, the Shadow, the Fire, the Elixir of Fortitude, and the Rumsy Rum Black Label for additional HP. And of course, there's still the free action potion to make sure you don't get stunned. Razor Gore, for example, you really want to have that free action potion. It makes a huge difference. Then there's also Limited Invulnerability Potion, probably the most useful potion in the entirety of BWL. Why are these potions so useful though, and which fight should you use them on? The first thing you have to understand is every single fight has different mechanics where you're going to need different potions. For example, Razor Gore, you have to have a free action potion to make sure you don't get stunned and killed. Then Veil, for example, incredibly important, you have a Greater Fire Protection Potion active. Really, for the entirety of the raid, I would have the Greater Shadow, the Greater Nature, and the Greater Fire Protection rolling at all times. As for when your Juju Ember comes into play, that is on Firemaw. You really want to stack extra fire resistance on Firemaw. Even over 220 would not be a bad idea. Then you really have to understand Limited Invulnerability Potion. Temporarily, it's going to make the boss not able to attack you. It means it's so useful when you rip threat, and so many of these dragon bosses in BWL, it's really easy to rip threat. We've also got to talk engineering must-haves, the repair bots, the masterwork target dummies, goblin sapper charges, thorium grenades, and of course the fan favorite Gnomish battle chicken. We've also got to talk flasks and special consumes as well. You've got the 4 flask options. You've got Supreme Power, you've got Titans, you've got Chromatic Resistance, and you've got Distilled Wisdom. Of course all the casters want to go Supreme Power to maximize their damage. And of course all the physical damage dealers, they want to go Titans to maximize survivability. Then the other exception is healers. If they want to have infinite mana, they can just keep chugging Distilled Wisdom over and over again. Every time you use a Distilled Wisdom, it resets your mana to 2,000, which is insanely overpowered. We've also got to talk special consumes like the drinkable Stratholme Holy Water, the Jungle Durian, and the new Mage Water as well. So the new Mage Water, the Mountain Spring Water, restores 5,100 mana. You have to obtain the Tome of Conjure Water 8. This is still going to be significantly worse than the drinkable Stratholme Holy Water. That water restores 6,618 mana. You get the drinkable Stratholme Holy Water from turning in Stratholme Holy Water at the Argent Dawn vendor. Getting the most out of your consumes in Phase 5 will maximize your enjoyment and maximize your damage in Phase 5. Definitely start getting consumables as soon as you can so you can really dominate in Blackwing Lair. If you found this guide helpful, definitely hit the like button and subscribe for more top-notch WoW content. Check out our ultimate Phase 5 prep video next.